Hello, I'm Dr. Francis O'Connor. I'm a professor at Uniformed Services University of the Health Sciences, where I serve as the medical director of the Consortium for Health and Military Performance. I am additionally a retired Army colonel, having served in the Army Medical Corps as a primary care sports medicine physician. My topic today is sickle cell trait and its implications for military service. My specific intent is to provide information to new warfighters on what you need to specifically know while serving the United States military. My learning objectives for this presentation include: number one, explaining how a sickle cell trait is unique from sickle cell disease. Number two, to present evidence to you to reassure you that thousands of warfighters serve in the military without any consequences. Three, to describe to you a rare entity of exertional collapse that can occur in individuals with sickle cell trait when engaged in extreme exercise for that individual. And four, finally, discuss simple precautions that can assist you in keeping you healthy and safe during your military service. Red blood cells are critical to human performance. They function by delivering oxygen from the lungs to working muscles. Hemoglobin is a complex protein located in the red blood cell that enables them to carry oxygen and release it to working skeletal muscle and other body tissues so we can perform body functions to include activities of daily living and exercise. Sickle cell disease is a disorder that affects hemoglobin in red blood cells. In fact, it's the most common inherited blood disorder that impacts hemoglobin in the red blood cell. In periods of stress or low oxygen levels, the normally ovoid red blood cell can transition from being flexible and readily deformable to a sickle cell shape that is quite rigid as it moves through the body's arteries, resulting in potential obstruction of flow and clotting. The most important reason to know your sickle cell trait status is to understand its impact on potential future children. Each parent carries two genes that code for the hemoglobin protein, and they give one of those genes to a future child. A parent with sickle cell trait has one sickle gene and one normal hemoglobin gene, while a parent with sickle cell disease has both genes affected with sickle hemoglobin. Accordingly, when two parents with sickle cell trait have children, they have a 1 in 2 chance of producing a child with sickle cell trait and a 1 in 4 chance of producing a child with sickle cell disease. Sickle cell disease is a very challenging clinical disorder. It is estimated that 1 in 600 African American live births results in a child with sickle cell disease. As we previously identified, when the cells under stress change to a sickle cell shape, serious medical challenges can result. These complications can be quite devastating and typically result in a shortened lifespan for that individual. Importantly, if you have sickle cell disease, you are not eligible for military service. Sickle cell trait is unique from sickle cell disease. It is estimated that nearly 3 million people in the United States have sickle cell trait. The prevalence in the United States is estimated as 1 in 10 to 12 African Americans, 1 in 183 Hispanic or Latino Americans, and 1 in 625 Caucasians. Interestingly, sickle cell trait is very common in Africa. It is estimated that 4 in 10 West Africans have sickle cell trait. Sickle cell trait is common in this population in that it confers an advantage in protecting against severe complications associated with malaria. Importantly, sickle cell trait is common and largely thought to be benign, where the great majority of those with sickle cell trait live completely normal lives. You can serve in the military with sickle cell trait. Sickle cell trait is not a disease. We also know through studies that service members with sickle cell trait, when compared to service members without sickle cell trait, actually have been demonstrated to deploy more frequently, for greater lengths of time, and remained in the service longer. I would like to now transition to a conversation with Command Sergeant Major Anthony Simpson. Again, Command Sergeant Major Simpson has sickle cell trait, has served in uniform on both active duty and as a reservist for over 31 years. He has been a military policeman and on a SWAT team, has deployed successfully, and has had no issues with sickle cell trait.
My name is Command Sergeant Major Anthony Simpson. I'm an Army Reserve Command Sergeant Major. I want to take this opportunity to welcome you to military service. Military service will probably be one of the greatest things you can ever do in your life. Unbeknownst to many, I've been serving in the Army for 31 years with sickle cell trait, and it hasn't changed a thing about my life. And the key message I want to tell you is sickle cell trait is just something you want to know about yourself. It's important to be as familiar with yourself as possible so you can take as much care of yourself as possible.
While sickle cell trait is largely benign, it can be associated with significant complications to include exertional rhabdomyolysis, or severe muscle breakdown, or the rare entity of exertional sudden death. What is exercise collapse associated with sickle cell trait, or ECAST? Most of these collapses, or deaths, are described in either athletes in the preseason, military recruits in basic training, or warfighters participating in physical fitness tests. The collapses or deaths are associated with marked strenuous exercise. The case reports also describe that not only is this exercise extremely strenuous, but there is frequently evidence of repeated high-intensity drills with limited periods for recovery. Additionally, not uncommonly observed is seeing someone who is struggling to catch their breath well beyond what is normally experienced. These collapses are also unique and unusual in that they are associated with marked muscle weakness, pain, or cramping. In addition, many of these collapses are observed as occurring in individuals who are initially conscious. This means that the affected individuals are not stopped by a loss of consciousness, but by marked weakness or pain. This creates a unique opportunity to intervene and potentially save a life in someone who may be in trouble. What does an ECAST, or exercise collapse associated with sickle cell trait, look like? I would like to now introduce you to Mr. Clifford Melton. Mr. Melton suffered an ECAST event several years ago during a team competition as part of a personal security detachment. He was in excellent physical condition and well trained for the event he was to participate in. The event resulted in severe muscle breakdown requiring surgery in his legs to relieve pressure and to ultimately save his life. You're going to observe him talk through what he was feeling and experiencing during this ECAST event. Importantly, before you see him running and shooting, he actually carried a 180-pound dummy body up 5 flights of stairs to simulate a rescue. While he was well trained for this carry procedure, he had limited time to catch his breath during this competition. You were at the far shooting lane.
Yes, and I got there, it was an actual open box with a mouse port. I had to shoot rollover prone. And I had 3 targets. And I had a clear sight picture, pressed the trigger on my first target, knocked it down, saw it go down. Tried to re-engage second target, everything went black. I couldn't see.
Everything went black, but were you still with it?
I was still hearing everything.
You were hearing everything?
I was hearing everything. I could hear the gunshots. I was very conscious. And so,
were you able to get up on your own?
Oh, yes. I got up
How were
on
your
my own.
legs doing at this point in time?
They were very heavy.
Heavy legs. Okay.
Heavy legs. Still feeling the same tightness I felt.
Still 7 out of 10?
Still about a 7 out of 10.
So you're running back down to an ammo point?
At that point, and you can probably hear somebody's audible just saying something, and it says, "Come on, Cliff, move." I remember that, and I remember speaking in my gas mask, and I'm telling you, I almost felt like crying in my gas mask. I said, I'm trying, and I'm trying.
Okay. Tell us here, so you're going to be coming from the left side of the screen, and if you can describe what's happened as we're moving here.
I'm trying to keep going, just trying to push myself. I'm just like, my body is pretty much giving out. And right here, this is when my coach is still trying to motivate me to keep going.
All right, so your teammates are helping you here.
Yes, sir.
They're carrying you. And I understand this is tough to watch, but your teammates are watching, so we'll pick it up if you can describe it for us, Mr. Melton.
They told us that I had to get to that shooting box or we would get disqualified as a team. And I just felt like I wanted some water at this point. I wanted something. If you really take a detailed look at my face, you probably can see the flushness, kind of like I felt like I was swollen. My legs were tight, I could not move them. You know how you just kind of like on a run, you're trying to drive your hips forward. I could not at this point. At that point right here, I was done.
You were done.
I was done. But I'm still coherent, knowing what's going on. I'm still thinking, hey, I still can get up here and shoot. Thinking I'm in the fight. And I'm telling you, that is where I'm dizzy, my head is, but I'm hearing everything.
What do you think are the important clues for that young warfighter with sickle cell trait to be aware of that's different?
When you start feeling that pain in your legs and when you're something that you normally don't feel, you need to pay attention to that. You need to pay attention to your breathing, you have probably been running all your life and you know what it feels like to overexert, you know how to slow your pace down, but as you get to the point where you cannot control that part of it and you're having leg pains, you may be going through a medical crisis.
Okay, let's talk about the team and the cadre who are watching the team. What message would you have for them as they watch this?
I know they're trained, or you're trained, to be tough. And don't look at your teammate or the soldiers that's next to you as being, weak or being, you may want to look at the medical side of things first. You kind of need to know who walks beside you.
I want to conclude by re-emphasizing the important points of this presentation and the comments by both Command Sergeant Major Simpson and Mr. Melton. First, know your sickle cell trait status. Not only is this important when you someday hope to have children, but that you understand that while this condition is largely benign, it can be associated with complications to include severe muscle breakdown and/or sudden death during strenuous exercise. Second, be smart with exercise. Gradually acclimatize or build up your tolerance to exercise workload. Take time to adapt to the local heat in the environment or the altitude you're exposed to give your body time to adjust. Third, stay well hydrated. Several studies have demonstrated that staying well hydrated is one of your best strategies in helping to ensure your red blood cells function properly. Fourth, maintain year-round conditioning. You're now in the military where we have regular PT tests. Keep yourself in good shape throughout the year. Fifth, know your body. Everyone, sickle cell trait, positive or negative, knows what their body feels like when you push. Like Mr. Melton stated, be able to know when something is different and when you may be in trouble. And finally, if you're in trouble, don't be afraid to ask for help or get help for a buddy who you see in trouble. Remember, we are one team.
So as you come into the military, just know if you're diagnosed with the sickle cell trait, you can go on to do great things. You can achieve the most. You can achieve anything you ever wanted to do. It's not going to be a crutch for you, and you can still be the best soldier, airman, Marine, or whatever branch of service you want to be in out there. Have a great day.